Hey everybody, Steve de Laveaga, Rise Consulting. I am with my brother, man, one of my favorite people, the first partner in my business. I signed up on our concierge side, and it was an easy choice because Greg is somebody that once you get to know him, he's one of the unicorns. Absolute first class human being, great, runs a great business, super fun guy to be around, talented, but driven and absolutely results oriented. And I have loved our 6.5+ months together, and watching how he runs his business has made me a better business owner, has allowed me to mastermind with some of our lender partners across the nation and the U.S. with it. So brother Gale, so good to have you, man. So thankful to have you on the program.
Dude, thanks, brother. I appreciate it and the opportunity. And when you first approached me with it, I can't even believe it's been 6 months, first of all.
Is that crazy?
But yeah, even when you first came to me with it, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And talk about being results driven. You've put up the results of exactly what you promised to.
Well, you've been lucky. You've been lucky that I had to work for you, because selling quality loan people is easy, Greg. I've learned. I made one mistake in this whole business so far. I tried to grab a guy and pull him up, and that's a mistake because it doesn't work that way. Being able to promote and sell you is easy. And let's be honest, how many times you and I pivoted? I don't know, 6 times? Oh, right. We're doing live masterminds. Okay, that's over. Oh, okay, that's over. Now, good news is you and I are in the lead conversion engine game, and that's been fun.
Yes.
But I want to go back to this because you and I both know this. You did not graduate high school, look to mom and dad and go, all right, folks, I'm going to be a mortgage lender. That's my job. I guarantee that didn't happen. So give me the progression of how you got into this space, what you did first, where you went to college, et cetera, what you did, and then how you got here.
Yeah, crazy, man. So I originally from Boston, just outside of Boston, Quincy, Mass. I was one of 2 people that left the state to go to college. Everyone pretty much just hunkers down and stays there, but I was really looking to get out of town and came to Arizona because I wanted to golf year round. I came for the weather. My dad worked for Delta Airlines at the time, so I flew for free. This is obviously, this is 1990. So I applied at ASU, went there. It did take me 8 years to graduate. It was the #1 party school. My degree was exercise science and physiology. So when I graduated, I actually was running a martial arts school. I learned a lot of my management, sales, training from my martial arts teacher. He's actually one of the first and only successful full-time martial arts studios in Arizona. Most are part-time, which I didn't know at the time, but they had a normal job during the day and they would train out of their garages or in the parks and things like that. He built a business open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., serving the college community. Most martial arts schools serve the kid community. And so he really had an anomaly, but he taught me, Zig Ziglar, triangle for trust, the triangle close, option close. I mean, this is a martial arts guy teaching me business. And so that's where I learned all that, right? And obviously a great teacher as well. So after that, I graduated college, went to work at the Village, so a local, gym here, high-end health club. And so had my degree in exercise science, trainer, teaching the martial arts at the gym. That's how I got my foot in the door.
Wow.
And then I was personal trainer for about 4 years. Now here's how it goes. So my first client was a mortgage broker. Her name was Kathy. I was training her. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, wanted to get into real estate. And the broker said, man, you're going to make more money on the loan side. You should do loans. So my wife, she joins Kathy. She joins the brokerage. She's the secretary. She's the assistant processor, does accounting. Then she's the personal assistant for the owner. This is like a 4-year progression. All the while I'm still training her at the gym.
You're busting your ass doing training, and she's making more in a week than you're making in a quarter.
Pretty much. We'd have a contest to see who would make more money, and she was clearly beating me. Finally, it just came to the point, Steve, where I just ran out of hours. 14-hour days, can't train any more people. I could only do so many group or double sessions. Everyone's telling me, they're all entrepreneurs, salespeople, VPs of companies. They're like, dude, you got to get out of here. And so I applied at like medical, sales, medical device.
Greg, how old are you? How old are you at that time? When you make that decision, how old are you?
So this was 2005. So I was 32.
So you fought the good fight 10 years, trying to, make it work, doing something you love, killing yourself, but not knowing you can't get to where you want to get to for your family, your spouse, your bride. 32, okay, I got to find a career. I've had a great job. Now I got to find a career I can get into. And then you start looking around. Okay, go.
Yeah. And, I tell you, like at the martial arts, the teacher said, hey, the next step is to own your own school. And I'm like, just not ready for it. And then when you're at the gym, it was, you had to go have your own gym and then have people under you as trainers. And I didn't learn that skill. So my wife's like, hey, you should get into mortgages. So she introduces me to a top producer at the mortgage brokerage. His name's JB. And this was 2005. And so I interviewed with him. We started our own, we had our own team, and then we had LOs under us at our own separate building, but still under that brokerage. So my wife's over here running this place with the main gal, Kathy, the gal I was training. And then now it's me and JB over here with 5 or 6 loan officers. And this is 05, 06, 07, now into 08, right?
Treading into 08.
Right. Now, so here's where it all takes a turn. September of 08, I get a call from JB's mom in the middle of the night that JB passed away in an ATV accident.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So crazy malfunction with the throttle. He passed away instantly. We shut down. Now, right now, Katie's not working anymore. She was 8 months pregnant with our first child, Kai. So he's being born in a month. I just lost my best friend and my mentor of 3 years. The market's totally crashing. And we were already interviewing to leave companies. So we were about to leave the brokerage and go to be a private mortgage bank. Because at the time, you had to be a banker to have control of your loans. Brokering is too crazy. You're just kind of praying that you get your deals closed. And so we were strategically interviewing and flying around the country and seeing where we were going to go. And then poof, that all disappeared. So I went to the owner and said, hey, I was leaving anyways. I'm going to go. I'm going to Nova, which I've been at the whole time. Came to Nova. Wow. And I interviewed with them and I said, hey, it was going to be JB and I. Now it's just me and the processor. If you want to interview the other LOs, great, but I'm starting from scratch. And they're like, yeah, we'll take a chance on you. So I came, brought my processor, and the next month, obviously my son was born. I went to a leadership conference, and it was local here. It was at a church out in Mesa, and I picked up a coaching CD there from the Core Training. Now, as you know, the Core is a national coaching company for realtors and lenders. So I listened to that CD all the way driving home, and it's all about realtor business, call the listing agent, get in front of realtors, teach classes, all realtor based. And I'm like, we've been so refinance focused, close on a deal, refinance them in 90 days, do a second. It was so high appreciation, right? And now the market's going like this. So all that business is gone.
Correct.
And so I was like, wow, let's do that. So I started just calling on realtors. My first hire, Steve, was a title marketing rep, because they know a lot of realtors. And so I had the title rep booking classes for me, putting me in front of realtors so I could grow the business. I had no team. So I was literally burning 80, 85 hours a week, just cranking, because there was no income from my spouse, had a newborn, had no business in mortgages. My best friend just passed away, and I started a brand new company.
So you're basically like, honey, I got to do this to take care of us, but you're not going to see me for a year or two, because I just got to go figure it out and dive in with effort.
Yeah, I wish I had had that conversation, but I just kind of did it, and I just assumed she understood it. So, fast forward a year later, she's coming to me and saying, hey, I feel like a single mom, and I really need to fix this. Meanwhile, she's now pregnant with the second one. And, and I'm doing fine now, right? So I'm getting all this realtor business. It's going great. I wasn't getting coached by the Core at the time. I was on their level 1 CD program. So I'm getting these CDs, I'm listening to them, and I'm doing it. Now remember, coming from the martial arts background, it was just, here's what you do, and you just go do it. There's no questions. I wasn't in the military. My dad is a Marine, but I grew up with that mentality of there's the wall and you just go through it. So execution's not been the problem. It was having the right information. So the core gives me the recipe CD every month. I listen to it, and then I just go run the play that they tell me to do. And I'm increasing the business. I'm not hiring right because I wasn't getting coached by a person, right? I'm listening to an audio CD
Right.
telling me to hire people, and I'm not hiring right. So when I first signed up to get coached, my first coach is like, dude, log your hours. How many hours are you cooking? And it was 84 hours a week. And
Oh my God.
he goes, go hire 2 people. And I'm like, 2? And so he taught me how to hire, taught me some interview questions, brought on a couple good people, not the marketing guy. He was already on there. I needed people to like help me with the loans. And
Right.
so they literally gave me a playbook, right? Just exactly what to do, the flow of the file, what to say. And I just started doing that. And then my hours slammed down to like 60, 65. My production doubled because I had 2 people helping me, and the service level went up. So then the referrals came. It's a ridiculous philosophy to think that if you just expense out and return on investment, invest in a couple people, teach them exactly what to do, have a specific formula like a McDonald's, that you will literally explode your business, because I was able to do what I was really good at, which was get in front of more of the realtors, help the realtors grow their business, and the business will then come back to me.
Think about that, right? Is that you weren't ready when you were younger, because your mindset would have been, well, I can do that better than they can. Well, I'm not going to hire somebody to do what I can do. And like you said, then you get to a stage where you run out of hours, and usually it's a bride or a child that says, I never see you.
Right.
Is this? And you think to yourself, shoot, this is what it's going to be like forever if I don't create a different platform for me to run this business in. Because we all in the beginning get addicted to winning and success and some money. So we're diving in. We wake up, and then something that's like, hey, you're missing that game again? You said you'd be home at 5. You can't, now all of a sudden you got to figure yourself out. So you do that. Is that, what year is that? You started in 05, went to Nova in what, 6 or 7?
8. So I had a 3-year run with JB. That's 2008. Found the core right there. 2010 is where I started getting coached, and that's where everything just changed.
So 2010. So now you're hustling yourself. You're doing 15, 20 loans a month. You start getting coached. Now you can do 50, 60 and have a life. Is that how it rolled?
Pretty much. I mean, it never got that high. It was probably averaging around 30. But the service level went up. The hours went down. Everybody else is making money. I'm helping all the other people. 2014 is when I opened up an office. So Nova came to me and said, hey, we got an office open. You're the one that could run that place. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Because I think the next level of once you get your team and business rolling is how do you impact other people? Like maybe it's someone on your team that goes out and becomes a loan officer. Maybe you bring in a loan officer. Maybe someone just starts from scratch and then you grow them into that field. Just like me, like I went from trainer, martial arts guy to doing loans, loan assistant, then doing loans, right? There's a progression in the business. Like no one, like you said, no one's got into real estate and knew all that they know. No one got into loans. Someone taught them and mentored them. And so being able to then give back, right? So I had the mentors help me, let me be a mentor to some other people and grow them.
Well, and you think about this. So, all right, that's your progression. I love that. What do you said it, I think, but martial arts probably in actuality prepared you to be super successful because it gave you what 3 things? Discipline? What else?
Yeah, discipline for sure. Persistence, just not giving up, right? You just keep going, so even when you say, all right, do a couple more push-ups and you're just like literally you can't push up anymore and you fall flat, it's like, keep going. And you just figure a way to get back up and keep going. Or when you get knocked around and you're like all loopy, you're like, dude, you better come to your senses because you're going to get hit again.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So that persistence, the other is just integrity, right? And I don't come to a point of like, you just need to be honest, but I think integrity in the point of honoring your word. When you tell someone you're going to call them back, you call them back. If you tell people you're available 7 days, you're available 7 days. Like whatever you tell them, you got to just follow through with. And so I think just, having that deep down integrity of, look, if you're going to be available, if you're going to tell me you have great service, if you're going to have great communication, you got to deliver.
See, well, it's funny because if I was going to describe you, I would say this: integrity, persistence. And then the reality is, man, you were disciplined and you have done exactly what you said. So, okay, you get your team, you start killing it. Now you get asked to run a branch. How big's your branch now? How many people you got? Talk to me about the impact there.
Yeah, so now we're at 27 people in the branch.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, a lot of operations, but we've also got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 8 loan officers that are not on my team that all do. And, you know, they were doing great before the pandemic. They're doing great now because the majority had databases to go with to get the refis. But really, although the refinances are there, we want to help all those people. I keep telling them, look, at some point in time, rates will go up a half, rates will change, and you've got to still stay servicing the real estate agents. Serve the realtors, serve the builders. That's like the main rules of being a lender. Like, be an expert, go after and help realtors, staff accordingly, and save your money. That would be my 4 rules if I was a loan officer right now.
Go over the 4 rules of how to stay successful in loan. Go again. This is perfect.
So be an expert in your craft, what you do, know your loan products, know your systems, know everything. 2, be realtor centric. So refis will come, they will go, but realtor business, purchase business forever. Number 3, staff accordingly. Because you can only serve people when you have enough people to serve the people. You ever been to a restaurant, Steve, when they're understaffed?
Yeah, it's a terrible experience. Even if the food's good, you don't
frustrating.
tend to go back.
I don't want to go. There's so many other restaurants. There's thousands of banks and online stuff right now. You don't want people to go there. So your service level needs to be really high. And that only happens if you're staffed appropriately at all times. And lastly is count the money. Like, you got to save 20% and never touch it. I know it sounds weird, but we've probably all been told it when we were kids. Our dad tried to pass that along to us, but it just wasn't pounded in as to exponentially how much that affects you later on. And there's just, pandemic or not, there's just so many people that don't hit retirement age and don't have retirement money.
You know what's funny? I think, Greg, for you and me both, going through 08 helped us because we have that panic that you got to always have dough put away because there is no this forever. We can't do that forever. And you and I mean, if you'd have told me we'd be having some of our best years in the pandemic in 20, I'd have thought you're out of your mind. But
Right.
It also tells me when we get done kind of creating this economy with, you know, checks from government and forbearance and no evictions, it's going to come about when it's going to be what it's going to be. And that's when you're going to see a dip. And to your point, if you haven't saved money and you haven't run it like a business, there's going to be a problem because you're right. The refi dance is about ready to be over, I think.
I agree. And you know, why not be prepared for it? And even if it goes a little longer than you think, at least you're prepared for it if it does come quicker than you think.
One thing consistent, Greg, with all 14 of my concierge lender partners across the U.S., and you said exactly what each one has said, realtor-centric as a point of emphasis in business. So many people, they kind of, oh, there's a pretty girl, refis, let's attack that. You and I both know it takes a long time to get back into the real estate space. How did you learn that? Mentor, practice, what?
Yeah, I mean, I learned it back in 08, right? When I learned that lesson of refinances, gone, go, and my focus just always been realtors. So it's a consistent message through the core training. So I've never deviated from it, and I've never been I was the refi person back in 05, 06, 07, and then it got crushed in 08. So it's just never been that way. I think that a lot of people go into the business and they work at a place where that's the information they're getting. That's the story. Like, hey, it's refinances. We're doing direct mail, online, whatever. And they get really good at that. But then when it all goes away, they just get terminated or cut, and they don't know how to go after the other business. And, you know, I'll tell you, I've added more new realtors that I work with this year than I did all of last year. And the number one thing I'm hearing is, man, the communication's horrible, missing closings, not getting a phone call back from my lender, haven't heard from my lender. It's just kind of weird that, if someone gets a call from a realtor and you're a lender, that you don't call them back pretty quick.
Well, but you and I talked about this in January. The time to take market share is now, because everybody's going to make money this year, everybody. But to take purchase market share is now. And the relationships and the deposits you're making with these realtors, with service, your lead programs, ability to get them involved in things that'll generate more dollars, all of those things, when this market moves, you've expanded this share of the market. You're just going to get more of it. People miss it. It's not about making money. Everybody's going to make money this year. That ain't the issue. Did you put deposits in for future shares of the market with people that remember, like you just said, oh, Greg always calls me back? Because remember, when they get done being busy, they'll go back and start calling those realtors. But you and I both know it's hard to pull a realtor from a happy lender. That's a hard job.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and here's the other scary thing, right? So let's just imagine that rates go up 0.5 point tomorrow.
Right.
Well, who's calling realtors come Thursday, come Friday, come Monday? Everybody. So they're all calling yours and they're all calling the ones you want to work with, versus now you call them and no one's calling them.
No.
So why not call them?
Well, that is why you run a business. All right. Give me a tactic or strategy you're teaching now. 27 people in your office, 8 LOs. What is a tactic or strategy you are teaching that you're seeing a ton of success with, so we can help folks learn that are watching and listening to this podcast, YouTube?
Well, I think right now it's understanding that it's truly a contact sport. So I know it sounds super simple, but that he or she that makes the most contact wins, and that the number one form of contact is picking up the phone, just calling people. And we talked about, like, during the beginning of COVID, call and just check in. Hey, how you doing? I mean, you could still do that now. Like, hey, I'm just checking in on you. What's going on? But just having the conversation, right? And if it's to a real estate agent, I just want to say, hey, how's it going? How's business? What can I help you with? I mean, right now, if I could help them get listings, that would be a great value add as a lender. So if I'm calling and say, hey man, if I could get you a couple listings, would that be worth a Zoom, a cup of coffee, another phone call, right? So, making sure that we're making the outbound contact to people. And like I said, number one would be the phone call. It might be the text message. It might be a quick little video. It might be the Facebook. I need to communicate and meet them where they are. So they might be on Facebook. They might be on Instagram. They might be on the phone call. They might be through the text. But just making a conscious effort. And look, I have one team that they call it 3 to Thrive. So every day they make 3 outbound contacts. That's great. Maybe someone who has more time would do 5, maybe 10, maybe 20. It just depends on your time. But also, like you said, Steve, if I'm going to, make those deposits now, like, let's call it planting seeds, right? So I want to plant seeds. Well, if you want more fruit, you need to plant more seeds. And that seed can be the phone call, the text, like I got handwritten notes on my desk to send out. They're on my desk so that I remember to send them out. And
Smart.
One of the number one things that I've ever done, and this is training, like my clients were in the best shape when I had them log what they were eating and their activity. Because when they had to write, I ate the cookie at 8 o'clock at night, they were less apt to eat the cookie, right? Or I knew what to change in their diet to change it later to get them the results they want. So if you track down, hey, I sent 10 handwritten notes this week. I called 3 people every day. I had 5 talk-tos. Then you're going to track and you're going to see the results. And now it's going to it's going to get me to want to do those actions again.
It's funny, isn't it, Greg? Our business is not difficult. It's just hard. Because persistence and discipline and doing the same thing over and over and over is what actually leads to greatness. It's not difficult, but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And so when you look at someone, you can look at their activity log and you can tell in 30 days why they're not winning, can't you?
For sure. Well, look, I mean, you and I could go back and say, hey, tell me about your last 100 days and I'll tell you what your paycheck's going to look like in the next 60 days.
100. See, they don't realize all the work we do is on the front end. You get paid not for what you did this week. You get paid what you did 60, 90 days ago. That's where people don't understand. And that's why you and I saw a lot of realtors take this time off. Oh, I'm just going to see how things go. Totally okay. But you take 60 days off, and then some of our partners get back in this thing that are like, hey, I've been working the whole, that ramp up is significant. Same thing with loan officers, same thing with title people, and all of it. It's all the same type of model. All right, give me this. Give me, when you're hiring someone, what 2 or 3 traits do you have to see or identify in the hiring process such that when you do, you know they're 90% of the time great fits for your team, your organization, your branch, et cetera?
That's a good question. One is optimism. So I really look at their mindset and their attitude. And I mean, it can be as simple as, you're running late to a meeting. You just got in your car at Target. You're walking to your car, and you see the cart sitting there in the lane next to you. Do you take a minute and wheel the little cart back, or do you jump in your car and make it to the appointment? Which one is it? You're going to be late either way, right?
Right.
And so seeing from a place of where's their mindset, where's their attitude, where's their integrity. The other would be competitive. Like I like when they've done some sort of sports or team activity. Now, maybe they didn't play competitive volleyball or softball or basketball or something. That's nice. But if they even played a sport, they understand a lot about teamwork and how it really is a team. And I'll tell you, like, there's not one position here that's not part of the team. From the front desk that makes sure that every copier has paper, so you're never going, why isn't that thing printing? It's print, right? Like you're saving minutes and hours on files when everything's properly prepared.
That's such a great line. Minutes and hours on files when everything's properly prepared. The truth is, I know you spend millions of dollars a year to get the phone to ring to your office. And when it rings and someone answers it poorly or doesn't answer it at all, that's a shit ton of money down the drain that can't happen because their first impression is that, right? An optimistic person answering quickly. How can I assist you? Where do you go? Let me get you where you need to. That's the whole vision for running a business, correct?
Huge. It's huge. Being solution based. I mean, there's just certain core cultures that we're trying to like get from the interview. So I'll tell you right now, when you're interviewing people, it's a minimum 3 times that you're interviewing them because you're going to get the phone. You're going to say, hey, come by the office. I make them come a couple times to see a couple different outfits, make sure they're on time, different times of the day. So they come in the morning. We also say, hey, come in the middle of the day. That way I know, did they budget for lunchtime traffic? Like how on time? If they are late, did they call to say they're running late? Did they come in and apologize profusely? Or did they just walk in like, hey, I'm here, right? Like, how are they? And so, the guard gets lowered every time they come in to meet and having them interview with multiple people. So I say, hey, Steve, do you have a couple extra minutes? I want you to sit with Talia. I want you to go back there and sit with Kai and just see what he does for the next 10 minutes, just to hang out with him. And then they're interviewing at the same time too, because it's a cultural fit, right? Like you're going to work here a lot. I need everyone to get along and be a family.
I love it, man. I love it. And you know what's funny? Looking at your history now, it makes a lot of sense because the things that you did that brought you into success in this business are now core strategies and tactics you use when building what is just basically a bigger you, a bigger team, a bigger branch. Yes. So give me this. Where does Great Gale go in the next 5 to 10 years? Does it just kill this, which you can absolutely do, or is it, I mean, you could be, looking at Nova, which is a great entity, which is super well run. I'm sure if you say, hey, look at doing a national role, more influence, what are you looking at the next 7 to 10 years?
That's a good question. I get my fill on the coaching stuff through the core, being a coach for them, so that helps. Okay. I like that I'm super connected with the people in this branch, and as we talked about, I have another branch up in Flagstaff. So no, I enjoy the 2 branches I'm working with. Maybe grow a few more loan officers here. But that keeps me with the hours I want to work, the lifestyle I want to maintain, and the income to hit the goals that I need to leave a legacy for my family and give back to the community.
See, that's so great. And you're younger than me, not by a ton, but when you learn that play about being able to work with the people you want to work with, when you want to work and how you want to work, and all you need is enough to have the lifestyle that you want which really provide all the lifestyle is barter, right? It's all just stuff you can barter with. I want to have a place so I can take my family that we enjoy going. I want to have a chance to go to dinner or go on vacation with people I love. It's just that play. And real estate, I think, is one of the greatest careers ever if you pour into it. It's a tough job because if you do it poorly, it's a mess, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you
But if
definitely
you
want
are,
to do it right, and you know, surround yourself with people like yourself, and you know, the successful. That's the one thing I'll tell you. If I go back, I was super lucky to run into JB because he was a great mentor, someone to model after. It would be, no matter what I want to get good at, you just have to find someone who's good at it to model and mentor with. Maybe they would coach you, but you know, you got to surround yourself with people that are, you know, successful, have those traits you want, but have trudged the path and will literally show you like, hey, don't do that, do this. But going back to your previous comment about the numbers is, you know, you have to know your target. If so many people are just like, well, I just need to keep going and keep going. I'm like, no, man, there's a target where you can say, if I had 4 closings a month and it averaged me this much in commission, and with how much I pay out a month in personal stuff, I would be able to save this much per year. And in 10 years, I'd have this much, in 20 this much, in 30 this much. That might be the number. Some people are killing themselves without knowing the number that they really need to hit or want to hit. So like I said, have that lifestyle, leave that legacy, be financially free, give back to the community. They just don't know the number. So they're just going and keep going and going and going. And that treadmill will just keep going and will wear you out.
well, it wears you out with health, wears you out with relationships, wears you out with your employees and staff. It wears you out on a lot of levels, right?
Yeah.
Um, Tell me this. Give me something you wish you learned earlier in your career that would have helped you even more. A lesson you, I mean, I wish I had known that earlier. If I did, I could have been X. What would that be?
I think besides the mentor of having someone to follow and maybe it's having a coach, it's having that accountability. I would honestly say it's understanding that you can't do it alone. And that's
Yeah.
2 things. One, having the coach or mentor, but B, you got to have a team. There's just no way to go on vacation, hang out with your family, have any normalcy, without having a great team. And the team might be something that's supplied by your company. It might be like if I'm at a brokerage and they give me a transaction coordinator, man, you got to use that transaction coordinator. So many people, especially in sales, are like, I need to do it myself. And they got to learn to let go, learn to delegate, learn to let other people help you because they're really good at that. And that makes them feel good when they do that. So let them do that and then go do what you're really good at. And you'll be able to scale without increasing your hours, which will increase obviously your pay. But I think that if I had learned the leverage with the quality people, like those rules we talked about before, staff accordingly, is something I didn't have the number. Like, okay, so what does accordingly mean? How many loans should I do before I bring on the person? How many escrows should I have in on a realtor side that I should then look for that buyer assistant, showing assistant, you know, transaction coordinator, whatever it is? How many, like, I need someone to tell me what's the metric.
Well, you can't manage what you don't measure. And that's why I think I'm so glad people like you are a coach because you are a practicing coach. You're not a theorist coach.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this every day. So you can say, I know exactly how many escrows it takes with an average fee per file of X with a margin of 29%, linear, You're just working backwards on math to people and time.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Do you think coaching has helped you, Axel, be a better practitioner? Because I know how you are. You would practice what you preach. You couldn't do it any other way. Has it helped you?
For sure. 100%. I'd never give it up because when you go to teach something, you become better at it anyways, but then you
100%.
also learn how to be even better at it.
Well, because your students challenge you too, right? You have to solve problems with them. You'll have to go through it. You'll see things shift, right? I mean,
yeah, you're looking at someone else's business that in a certain way, it makes you look at your business in a certain way. And so it's reciprocal. Like I learn just as much from the students as I do for me. And again, it's just that giving back. It's how I got into the business. It's how I got to where I am. I thank JB every day that I'm even in this spot, because without him pouring into me for 3 years, 10,000 plus hours, I wouldn't be here right now. And then to come across the core right after he passed away, I mean, I think, like when I told you about that event I went to out in Mesa, that leadership event, the core wasn't there. It was not a core event. Somehow there was a core CD there. No
And you
idea.
just grabbed it.
Grabbed it. And so I'm a trainer, right? An ex-trainer. I see a thing that says the core. I'm like, wow, it's a fitness CD. Like I'm literally thinking it's a workout, and I plug the thing in, and it's going off on mortgage stuff. I was like, and it's like, have a clean car, get your clothes ready the night before, clear off your desk, one file, like, and it was like boom, 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 and I was like, wow, that guy's intense. And then I'm like, that's all makes sense to me. I think I could do that, and then I just started doing it.
Well, I would tell you this, JB be looking down on you so proud because you have lived. Your deeds are louder than your words, and your words are loud, and your deeds are even better. So congratulations, my man. I feel like, if you're going to give advice in closing, let's do this. If you're going to give advice to someone who's, and let's be honest, Greg, people get into our vertical business of real estate because they failed their way out of something else, right? Yeah. They tried it and it couldn't. What advice would you give someone if they're thinking about getting in it now? And then maybe one thing you've done over this time that you would say, hey, right now during this time. So what advice would you give somebody? If I'm thinking about getting in, changing careers, what would you tell them?
I tell them now is a great time to be getting in. There is a lot of opportunity right now, and it would be to get on a team. I have some people like, well, I could go in. I know a lot of people. I could list those houses or whatever, and I'll tell you, it's going to be really hard. I think it would be better. I'd rather spend the next 3 years mentored under a top real estate agent, top lender, to then grow into my own if I even wanted to. I look back, Steve, if JB hadn't passed away, I don't know if I'd ever be the originator. We made such a great team. I don't know what I'd be doing, right? So I was thrown into that role, but I learned so much being an assistant for 3 years that it made me a great originator when I went to go on my own. So getting a lot of practice, a lot of at-bats. And look, when you're new in the business, whether you're real estate or lending, hey, it's Greg, and I'd love to list your home. I've only been doing this a month. Or, hey, it's Greg. I'm on Steve's team. Love to list your property. Steve's been in the business for 20 plus years. Our team's done 4,000 transactions in the last 2 years. Love to set you an appointment for Steve. Like, way better.
I have a saying, Greg, trust is transferable, right? My nephew now works for you. And I told him, you're getting the transfer of the trust the community has put into Greg because they know he wouldn't bring you on his team unless you checked all these boxes. That trust is transferable. He can now go to friends, family, parents, in-laws, etc., with confidence because he's got you as this army of backstop support, mentorship, etc. There's no reason you should start in your own gig in real estate. None. Somebody's already doing it way better than you are. Glom onto them, make a fit culturally, and learn straight uphill for 3 years. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Look, if I wanted to become a great swimmer, I can walk 2 miles down the road, jump the fence at Phelps's house and say, hey, dude, can we swim together for a little while? Like, I will get better. I'm not going to just go swim in the cactus pool and think I'm going to get better watching some YouTube videos and listen to even if I listen to coaches, I'm like, that's going to be tough. I'd rather mentor under somebody else. And look, whatever my split or exchange is for that, I'm literally paying for the tutelage to spend time with someone who's just doing it at a way higher level than me. I am going to bridge that gap really fast going under them than I will if I just go totally on my own and wing it.
Man, I love working with you. I love being in partnership with you. I've learned as much from you as anybody I've worked with in this space a long time. And I really feel like, Greg, the next 18 to 24 months will be very important for real estate. I think we're going to have some type of dip, which, by the way, we probably need it, right? We've had a lot of up the last 12 years. And that'll be the best time to be with best people to see what 3.0 looks like after 08 was 2.0, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. The change is coming, and the ones that are just more properly prepared, right? And we used the word before, a choice, right? You decide to take action. So after this, you can decide to pick up the phone and call more people. Tomorrow, you can decide to interview and start hiring. You can decide to reach out and get coached by somebody. Like, those are all decisions that we can make today. Even though I didn't make it 100 days ago, I can say, what can I do over the next 90-day burn, and then see those results come the end of 2020.
It's just such a great story, man. Congratulations on your success, on all your influence and what you do. Thank you.
Thanks for your partnership.